Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode, opportunity for healing conversations. No. Oh, listen. Come on, kid. Have a chat. Oh gosh. Um, co-play Wednesday. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing. I am checking in uh, to say hey and work on some things with you. We will have the today of the insights from whatever audio I choose today. I'm thinking of this one, Acres of Diamonds. I was listening to it this morning, and it's pretty good. So I'm going to do that. Also, I will be live on Facebook for the last time as we are doing this. So if you are someone who is on Facebook, come on over to the YouTube side of things so that you can join me here for Co-Play Wednesdays and get yourself some accountability and get yourself something done today where you can say, I did that. I did the thing today. I did a business, I did a creative, I was accountable to myself today. So, yeah, this is what we are up to. I will be editing some clips from the Healing Conversations podcast, which I brought up at the beginning of this video. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I was knocking out some other things this morning, and I got myself some breakfast. I got myself, together, and here we are. So I'm gonna jump right on into it. Get this audio rolling. Let's see. Um, or maybe we can listen to Healing Conversations podcast. Actually. Ooh, and then Lily has her talk out right now. Let's listen to Healing Conversations podcast though. Let's do that.
When you're especially speaking of
All right, let's
the separation of that in that realm, it's going to bring up a lot of frustration. It's going to bring up a lot of anger. It's going to bring up a lot of sadness because there is some sadness with what happened in just the African American experience. But if we allow ourselves just breathe into it and let that energy move through, you'll start to see that wait, I'm not really as upset. I just needed a moment. Welcome to Healing Conversations podcast.
Okay.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
To Healing Conversations podcast.
Okay,
This
here
is
we
our
go. We
space
are
that we
set
talk
and
all
ready,
things
y'all.
expansion, growth, and truly healing. And I always say, as we heal individually, we support the ripple effect of the collective by being the example of what change looks like instead of trying to preach it and tell others what they need to change. Yes, and we love to hear what you have to say. We're not here to just talk at you. Definitely pop in the comments, slide in our DMs, send us an email. Like, let us know what you're getting from this conversation. Let us know how it's impacting you. We want this to be a dialogue. You are included. We don't want to just talk at you. And we know that you might be listening on the treadmill or the grocery store or wherever at the park. But when you can, take a moment to tap in and say hey and let us know
where you are tuning in from, whether you are commenting on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, Spotify, Apple Music. We all over the place. Just make sure you tune in, tap in, let us know how you're doing.
Yes. All right, Charles. So for today's conversation, I feel like it's going to be maybe triggering. I'll just put that disclaimer out there because it's an uncomfortable conversation that a lot of times people avoid. But as we are in the space of healing conversation, that's truly how we heal and break through the walls of limitation by really bringing what's in the darkness to the light and letting it be seen because it's a lot of love that isn't being expressed. And I feel when we look at it through the lens of compassion and understanding, that's what we're able to see that gold nugget of love that has always been there. So let's get into it. All right, so today we're going to talk about I had an experience that I had at the gym with two friends that were in conversation, and one of the friends is like Persian and has a Jewish background, and the other friend is African American. And the Persian friend was speaking, telling us like how she has a friend who is of African American descent, and how she was just inviting them to release that the story of them being a victim and being disempowered because of their race. And she was just saying to them, like, take your power back. Like, times have changed, things have changed. Like, you hold the power to change whatever it is that you feel disempowered by. But that triggered my African American friend who is kind of still attached to that feeling of being the victim or feeling disempowered or still being in the fight of what they may see in the world when what may have happened in the culture of the African American history. And there was some tension they felt within themselves because they felt as though my Persian friend was trying to dismiss like the whole African American experience being the slave experience, the injustice experiences. And there was really this like discomfort they felt. So I invited them to like, hey, go have a conversation. Like if you feeling the type of way, like don't hold it in, let it out, go and express yourself. And they did that the next day, but I felt like there was still this like they went into it ready for a fight. And whenever you're going into something ready for a fight, anything that you hear that isn't in alignment with what feels right for you, you unconsciously will shut off and not think that you're being heard because of the triggers that are activating within you. So I noticed that they were getting triggered and they kind of had their encounter, but I don't feel like it settled much because they weren't really listening to each other. It wasn't an argument, but you can just tell that there was no breakthroughs happening. And then later, my friend, the African American friend, was talking to me, and I felt like they wanted me to join the party of like being in the fight and being in the anger. But I'm neutral. I'm neutral because I've done my own internal work to not be in the attachment of the label and even not who I would say honoring the history of which I came from, but knowing that I have the ability to change and make new history based on where I am now and who I am now, and knowing that you can only lead by example. I can't preach like I shared in the beginning. We're not here to preach, just being the example. So I feel like this is a conversation and a fight that is continuously happening and a conversation that is continuously being avoided because it is triggering. There is discomfort. There is a lot of fuel that's already been added to the fire in so many ways. So whenever it's spoken of, that fire just ignites, and I feel like the fight starts to happen. And I just want to bring that to the space because as we speak through it, it opens up doors of awareness to where we're able to see things differently, which creates a ripple of change that you're able to just explore the curiosity of like, well, let me maybe look into this or maybe talk to someone about this, and then we can have more of the bridge that brings us all together because we all one. Like when we really think about it, the labels of race and all of that, it was given to us, but it's not who we are. And once we start to identify with the truth of self, we're able to be in environments, have conversations that may be uncomfortable, but we're able to sit in peace, hold space for understanding, love, and compassion. And that's how we come together versus separate ourselves. So I'll end it there. I'm excited
Yes,
to
right
see like
now,
where this
dropping
conversation is gonna go.
gems. Oh, gotta tell
Yes, I
y'all, the
appreciate you
Healing
bringing this
Conversations
to
podcast really
the
is
Healing
good.
Conversation
And I'm not
space because it
saying
is a
that
lot of
because I'm a co-host.
healing that is
I'm not
needed
saying that
around
because I'm a co-host. I'm saying that
race and
because
expression and
these are
history in
real,
general, right?
authentic
And I would
conversations
say for myself, as
that have
a Black
wealth of
woman
knowledge in them.
who is aware of the history of my people, um, I'm
It's good
still
stuff.
in the
Check it
camp
out.
of
YouTube, Spotify.
we can take our power back,
We can take a
right?
power back.
And I
Yes.
think the rub of that comes because when there's someone who is not of African American descent saying that, it's challenging to discern if they actually understand that Black people have power and are capable of taking it back, and you know, um, have the authority and the agency are willing to support with getting that power, standing in that power, or if they're just saying that to dismiss something. And I think that's where the confrontation comes in, because we're not really sitting down and taking time to have this conversation, right? Like when you're in the gym and you're like in between sets and stuff, like kind of having these conversations, right? You're not really um, diving into the nuances. It's not really like, okay, let's sit down and create a safe space and, no judgment, and we're unconditionally loving each other, and everybody's free to express themselves without repercussions. Like we can just sit and have this conversation so we can reach a breakthrough. You're just there and having the conversation because it's in the atmosphere. Here in America, our history is very polluted,
Mm.
and not just because slavery happened, but because there was like actual life experience of what was happening. And then as we started to, progress through time, those actual things that were happening started to get wiped away or forgotten, or, just not spoken about enough for us to actually have an understanding of that era of time and what the dynamics were. Because in those times, there were Black people who were getting businesses, who were free, who were millionaires. Like Madam C.J. Walker, and she wasn't the only one, but I know a lot of people know Madam C.J. Walker in her hair, and she was a millionaire with her car, looking fancy with her girls. You feel me? So we've always had this resiliency and authority when we are willing to put that power forward. And yes, that comes with some pushback from certain parts of the system and certain people within our country. However, the possibility is still there. And if we are focusing on, and this goes across the board with anything, if we're focusing more on what is stopping us than what we have to progress us, then we're going to stay stopped. We're going to stay stuck. We're going to stay oppressed and not be moving forward and progressing. Where you put your energy is where you're going to get, right? So that's how I feel about it. And that's what I'll pass it over to you, Brother Raymond.
This is a good episode, y'all.
The conversation of polarity, because everything has a polarity. It's what side of the stick are you focusing on, which means that's where you're giving your energy to. And
this is a good episode, y'all. And
even bringing it to
if you are someone who is a
how important it
person
is to honor those
of the
emotions when you're
African
feeling triggered
diaspora,
by what
or
Yeah,
you
we
know
see, and that's
someone
what
who is
keeps that
a
like
person
discomfort
of
and
the
keeps the
African
projection
diaspora,
is
share
the
this
lack
with
of
them.
expression. So
We
when
need to
you're
have
not
these
expressing yourself,
conversations.
and when I say express yourself, when you're especially speaking of race and
We need
the
to have these
separation of that in that
conversations
realm,
in a
it's
safe,
going to bring up a lot of frustration. It's
healing
going to bring up a lot
intention,
of
not in
anger.
a
It's going to bring up a lot
blaming. I'm gonna
of
pause this because Raymond's dropping knowledge. In a safe, healing environment, not in a blaming, judgmental, victimizing space. Hey Sheila, this is gonna be my last live on Facebook. My page is getting deleted on Friday. Friday. I know you're out here in the world traveling around in your RV, which is super fun, and I'm living vicariously through you. I am working on some clips of the podcast while I'm listening to a podcast episode. And yeah, it's just about understanding the truth of the big self beyond the social identities and labels that we have, especially as people of the African diaspora who were enslaved. And just the power that it took to live through that, to reproduce through that, and to continue to want for more through that, even while people were systems and people were actively oppressing you and abusing you. Um, so that's kind of what this episode is unpacking. But yeah, I just had to pause for that because we really do need to have these conversations. I think they would be very healing.
sadness because there is some sadness with what happened in just the African American experience. But if we allow ourselves just breathe into it and let that energy move through, you'll start to see that, wait, I'm not really as upset. I just needed a moment to feel. And when you take that time to honor that, then that's when you're able to be present and hear someone versus when you're not. I like to like give analogies, and what's coming up is like if I'm trying to take a sip of something, but I haven't really let it go down, process, and digest, and I'm trying to take more. It's overloading, it's overflowing, and that's what's happening is we don't take that time to digest, process, and let it just flow out of our bodies. So what happens is we're just now erupting on everyone and everything, and that's where there's more of a fight versus wanting to really hear someone. So for me, I'm in a space where I like to learn. I genuinely like to learn from people, and I normally am when I'm in environments that are new to me, meaning it may be a different culture, it may be just a different space that I might not be familiar with. I don't talk much because I want to listen. I want to hear people. I want to understand them. So I just absorb the environment that I'm in. And for me, that's where I'm able to gain understanding because if I go into a space feeling like I already know someone or something, I'm not able to learn. And I like to think like if you have a piece of paper in the house, all this writing on there, where can you write anything new? There's nothing. But I have to go into it as a blank canvas, and there's so many notes I can take, so many things I can learn, so many things I can take away and digest and process and let it maybe awaken within me at a later time if it's not ready in that moment. So I feel like when we allow ourselves just to be open and empty ourselves of what it is that is still bothering us. Because in reality, it's never about the person. It's never about the thing. They activate what's already within you. The emotions of anger and frustration and irritation wasn't given to you. It was just activated from within you, from an external thing.
Mm.
And as we start to be aware that everything starts from within and then it projects out into what we call this outer world, this reality, then we're able to see, okay, this is making me feel frustration. Instead of trying to make a story or make a meaning, just say, I honor this frustration, I welcome this frustration, and I let it go. And I know that sounds super simple and super like really,
it's real though.
but truly it is that simple. But if you apply it, you'll see that you'll start to be less reactive. You'll start to be more able to respond. And you're able to really have a conversation versus shut off as soon as you hear something that activates another feeling that you don't want to feel. So the more we get into the allowance of feeling, especially because we weren't taught this. We weren't taught how to feel, honor our emotions. We were taught to suppress them, avoid them, lead them on to someone else, but we weren't taught how to honor them and release them from within ourselves. So I just want to bring that into the conversation because that's a practice and it's as simple as a breath. I will always say that because we think breathing is just what we do unconsciously.
Bringing it back to the breath
we're able to
is so
stay alive in this
crucial.
human experience. But if you're conscious and intentional with
because it really
breathing,
it's a
when you
biological
want to
way
release,
to
you'll start to see how you feel more
recenter
peace in uncomfortable
ourselves
situations
to
and
regulate our
environments.
nervous system.
Yes.
hmm
I really appreciate you bringing the feelings. And what was coming up for me is like you said, we weren't taught it and we weren't allowed it historically as people of color. And there was so much happening, you know, abuse, murder, rape, like lots of, the whole exploitation of it. And we're not able to process, our ancestors were not able to process that. They just had to live through it, they just had to survive through it. And that does take a level of energetic resiliency to be able to keep functioning in a human vessel under those conditions. And now that we are no longer under those style conditions, like actively people are being sought out in mass because they're slaves to be captured and, overseen, right? We are no longer in that in America. Newsflash, I don't know if somebody, I feel like in my soul, I feel like somebody got triggered. In my soul, I feel like it's still slavery today. They still oppressing us. But let me tell you, it is not to the same extent, beloved. And I think it's highly disrespectful. This is my personal opinion. I think it's highly disrespectful to compare our experience and our privilege now to the
listening
actual
to some Healing Conversations podcast while I'm editing some things for the podcast, Coldplay Wednesday.
I think that's extremely disrespectful because there is.
And actually, I do want to pause on this because people will get very defensive these days, talking about slavery and oppression and systematic racism and things of that nature, and try to make this comparison. Um, and I really believe that that is disrespectful to our ancestors who were in the fields barefoot, one outfit for the year, okay, living in a shack with 20 people, eating corn gruel and scraps from the big house, and try to compare that to what we're experiencing today when people are consciously choosing to go out and buy Gucci slides from the swap meet. Ooh. People are consciously choosing to get an iPhone, consciously choosing to drive um, a Cadillac, consciously choosing these things, consciously choosing these things, but still want to say that we are still oppressed by people outside of us. Where is the responsibility in that? Because let me tell you, I truly don't believe that if anybody living today, any of my melanated brothers and sisters living today, were put into the conditions that our ancestors were put into, I truly don't believe they would survive. A lot of them. And it's really bizarre to me when people get so riled up about the conditions today. Not to say that there isn't a game being played. There is certainly a game being played in today's society, where people are oppressing, where people are suppressing and trying to keep people from being prosperous and keep people incarcerated is the word. Keep people uneducated. There's definitely that situation taking place, right? Like people are playing that game. And we can also choose to not play that game. We can also choose to build something different, do something new. We don't have to keep being in these cycles and these spaces. Like it's so funny. I heard this. I was in the store. I was in the store yesterday, the phone store yesterday, and this lady came in. God bless her. She just had a lot to say about a lot. And one of the things that she brought up was the technology and how she shouldn't have to be how she shouldn't be running out of storage on her phone and um, all these other things. She's like, man, this technology today, it just don't make sense. Can't live with it, can't live without it. And I was like, you could live without it. You don't have to have a phone to live your life. Let's be clear about this. No one on the planet needs a cellular device to have their needs met, to biologically be alive, be fed, be sheltered. Circulate currency, even. You don't need a phone for that. And this person was of African descent, you feel me? Um, and it was just really one of those moments of like, what are we even talking about? If you really have such deep complaints about things, about the circumstances, about the conditions, what action is being taken? What are the actual results that you're looking for? Because just sitting here talking shit while also trying to bring God into it, right? And that's why it was so funny, just because of my perspective. Listen, I'm not trying to say anybody's right or wrong. I just think it's funny when people are like God and God and God, but then this shit and that is this and this is this. Um, yeah, I just think that's funny. But you like we have so much available to us, yet we're so distracted by what's available to us that we're not actually figuring out, being clear about what results we want. What is it that we're actually asking for? What is it that we're actually looking for? Um, because let me tell you, if we really got ourselves together as people of color and stop getting distracted by all of these games, we would actually pull things together. Our children would be educated and fed, crime would be down, people would be circulating money with ease and grace. But people aren't really about having that conversation yet. I'll put the yet on it because I do believe there's hope, right? So yeah, that was just. I'm gonna just continue with the with the podcast because that was just a silly, silly, funny moment yesterday.
Embarrassing. And with that, we have the privilege now to sit and process when we are triggered. Somebody um, calls you the N word. Some person who is not of your ethnicity calls you the N word. You, one, have the freedom to, respond how you want in that moment, right? And also, you can find somewhere, someone to sit with and process that experience in a healing way and say, I was feeling disrespected. I was feeling discarded. I was feeling like demeaned, like I was feeling these things and I really didn't appreciate it. And now I'm just allowing myself to acknowledge that I felt that way and that I get to feel that way. Because again, our ancestors on the plantations and things, they didn't get to have feelings. They didn't get to sit and feel things. They just had to keep pressing through.
I feel so
So I think it
blessed
would be a
to
beautiful
be
way
where
to
I am
honor
these days.
any situation that comes up now that's related to race, ethnicity,
Because I do
to just
have
really process,
so
like Renee
much
said, really process your
time
feelings around that.
and
And really
space
have
and
those conversations
opportunity and
and say, what is
community
it in me right now
to
is triggering? Because
really
somebody can call me the
sit
N
and
word.
process my
And I'm just like, okay,
emotions.
that's them.
I
They
have the
chose to
opportunity
say
to
that.
learn
Okay.
about the
You feel me?
energy
I
that is
don't have
passing
that
through
button
me so
anymore.
that it doesn't
There
stay
was a time when I felt like
stagnant
I
in
had to have
my
that button
body and I
because
don't get
if I didn't have that
heart
button,
disease, I don't get kidney disease, I don't get bladder infections. Like, I am so privileged and I'm grateful for that. We often underestimate our ability to take care of ourselves and the freedom that we have to do that. Mm. And I'm just taking a moment to give thanks for that. Ashe. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pause here. I think I'm gonna stop here. If you want to listen to the podcast, the rest of the podcast, there's about 12 minutes left on it. So there's still plenty of things to listen to. It's available on YouTube and Spotify now. And also, just so you are aware, on Facebook Side of Life, um, I am going to be deleting my Facebook page in an effort to reduce my digital footprint. Um, I will be on Instagram. I have my one page on Instagram. My artist page is being deleted. So that's that. But my Instagram for VZ Spaces will still be available. I will still be on YouTube. So check me out on YouTube. Same handle, VZ Spaces. And I feel like there was my website, vzspaces.com. And yeah, I think that's it. Quite frankly, I think that's it. I think that's where I'm keeping my things. And also with my VZ Spaces page, again, as an effort to reduce my digital footprint, if there's anything on my page older than like 12 to 18 months, I'm going to delete it. Because I had the realization the other day that a lot of the server centers are just holding people's old stuff that they don't want to delete, that they're trying to hold on to and have archived. Um, and so I decided, yeah, in order to further reduce that footprint, I'm just going to delete anything that's over a year old. And gratefully, Instagram now has an option to go through your page and delete things in mass because before it did not, and you just had to go post by post. But now, gratefully, I can do that easily. So yeah, that's gonna be a part of my efforts of doing that. Um, oh, excuse me. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And if there are any other updates, I'll do my best to post that on Facebook before I delete the page. But yeah, Friday is the day that is going down. It's going down. Um, but yeah, I appreciate you joining me today. I hope that this was enriching as far as the podcast goes and that you had the opportunity to work on some things while you were being accountable with yourself in community. That's what Co-Play Wednesday is for. Make sure you're taking care of yourself while you're taking care of your business. Okay. um, but yeah, I will see you. Ooh, I won't see you next week. I gotta remember to tell people this because I'm going on a birthday vacation to Mexico. So I will not be here next Wednesday. Will not be on Facebook next Wednesday for sure because the page will be gone. But I will not be on CoPlay Wednesday next Wednesday because I will be in Mexico. So I will see you all on the 23rd. However, the Healing Conversations podcast will still be up and available, so you can get that there. Um, and still comment, still share, still like, still let us know how this is impacting you, inspiring you, and uplifting you. But aside from that, have a beautiful, wonderful, absolutely spectacular, a magical day because you deserve it, because you are worthy, because you can create it. It is a choice. And I'm here rooting for you. And if you need support, reach out. I'll see you next time.